All right, so I guess we kind of started in 2005, you want to say? 2006?
5 or 6.
We were both in Mod Flanders Conspiracy, which was a local band around here. We did kind of like a Mr. Bungle, Dog Fashion Disco kind of thing. And then we kind of switched gears and started playing some heavier stuff. And it took a couple years to kind of get into it. But I think around 2008 is when we finally started trying to do the more stoner doom metal kind of thing. And we've been doing it ever since. So we just released our first album. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Tell us about the name.
You want to do the name? Since you're the one that came up with it.
Did I?
Yeah, the only one you agreed on.
It was somewhat random. We were just looking for a new name, and we I guess just searching around on Google or something.
I think
like
I
that.
Googled 800 different things.
Yeah,
and
we
he
were
hated
just
all
trying
of
to
them.
find some cool ideas, and we ran across this article about some marine biology stuff, and they had just recently discovered this creepy little worm-looking thing off the coast of California. Not that long before we were.
No, they're a newer species.
Yeah, it was maybe a year before we were actually looking.
But they're eyeless worms that eat dead whale bones.
Dead whale carcasses that fall to the sea.
Pretty fucking metal, dude. That's what I said, and it was really surprising because, like I said, he had vetoed every name. I'd just give him a name, and be like, "Dude, come on, this name is good." He'd be like, "That name is fucking terrible." I was like, "Ah." And finally, I came with him with that, and I told our singer, I was like, "Look, this name is cool. I like this. He's gonna shoot this down. I'm just ready to go with something else." And I gave it to him, and he's like, "I like that." And it was one of those like, "Really? You said you liked that?" So it just stuck. So
yeah, it stuck.
So tell us why doom metal, man. Why did you guys pick doom metal?
Well, before we were doing this, I was in a band called Psyopus, and we played really, really fast all the time. 240 BPM, every song, grinding all over the place. And I've always listened to this kind of stuff. I've always been a huge Black Sabbath fan. I've always been a fan of just the riff, and we had never really written any music like that. And we did a tour. Psyopus did a tour with this band called Mouth of the Architect, who I'm a huge fan of, and just watching them was really, really awesome. Every night they'd come out with a ton of amps, a ton of cabs, and just they fucking killed it. And it was one of those things where I saw it and I was like, man, I know how he writes, and we'd always write, and he'd always write these really atonal kind of chord kind of parts, but we'd try to turn them into like faster, tech metal kind of riffs. And I was like, we should try like slowing some of this down and see how it comes out,
that was part of the whole process of kind of going through those couple years where we had to kind of figure out what our identity was as far as a band, because we were trying. I've always come up with really weird chords and things like that, but we were trying to turn it into tech metal,
right.
And it just never really came across right. And it was. We also went through some lineup changes, which definitely changed sort of the way we were approaching things.
So we had a new drummer come in, and we had a new vocalist come in. Our new vocalist definitely lent himself more to more like black metal kind of vocals. We're definitely not a black metal band by any means, but he's got a really aggressive high scream, and he's got a real good range. So we were able to do a lot of stuff. So when we slowed down, it felt pretty natural when his vocals were coming in. And our drummer, we got a different drummer about 2 years ago. Really big dude. You've seen him. He's like 6'4", and he hits hard as shit. So when we would slow stuff down, it would just crush when he would hit so hard. And I think he feels more comfortable also just playing like real backbeaty kind of stuff. I know I feel more comfortable playing backbeaty kind of bass parts. So, and it's also fun to just be able to just not focus on playing tech metal and just relax and fucking jam. You know what I mean?
He just got lazy, really.
Pretty much. I got tired of playing 240 BPM and just wanted to play a couple notes. So, but yeah.
Okay, well, now take us through the album. Tell us the name of the album and talk about some of the subjects that you guys.
Yep.
And let me go before I go there. Did all of the changes that you guys made before you got the whole new lineup, did that have any influence on some of the writing that you did?
The album's called Delayed Response. I think the lineup was solidified before I think we wrote any of the stuff on that album. There might have been little bits and pieces that we might have reused that we had written before, but
before we switched drummers, we were kind of going in that direction, but it had not really come to that at that point.
And it also wasn't working with the drummer that we had. I mean,
so.
But
our new drummer's much more laid back, easy guy. So the writing got, most of the time it's Scott and I kind of working stuff out, and then we get input from everybody else.
Right.
And it just, the writing process got a lot quicker. There's, with the tech metal kind of stuff that we used to try to do, it just wasn't as, and it wasn't really tech metal, but it was more like techie. But the writing process just took a lot longer, and it took us a lot longer to write songs. So, in the span that we wrote 5 songs with the old kind of stuff, we wrote, close to 10 songs in the new style. So, but yeah, I don't know how much of that, the lineup change. I think the lineup change had something to do with the change in sound. So.
And it was, a big part of it was, our singer Josh was relatively new when we started writing all the stuff for Delayed Response. So, he sort of kind of came in behind us. We had already kind of written a good portion of the music and
Yep.
had structured everything, and so he came in and kind of did his thing on it, and I think that was a bit of a struggle for him, because he wasn't really as much as a part of the writing process as he would have liked to be.
He's like the new guy coming in.
Right,
Sure.
and I had to spend a lot of the time. I recorded and produced the album, and Josh and I had to spend a lot of time, like, while we were actually recording, because this stuff wasn't written while we were practicing and writing
Right.
the stuff. A lot of it was figured out while we were actually recording. Like, we'd realize that lines had to be cut, lines had to be changed, changing patterns, changing it. It was definitely a process, but. And then the backup vocals, that was
Right,
whole,
that was for us too, because we
had never really done the whole backup screamy thing
with
before,
the old
so he and I
style.
had to.
We both focused so much on playing our parts that we never really decided to do vocals. And I'd heard bands do that. I've been hearing bands do that since I was 8. Gang vocals. We don't do gang vocals, but everyone doing vocals at the same time. It's just a lot more powerful.
Right.
So we wanted to try, and our singer loved that idea. He was like, I want to get you guys in there. I want you to be with me. Let's all do vocals at the same time. And we had never done any screaming before, so it was pretty weird for us to start doing that for the first time. And the album has actually been done for quite a while, and we'd just been tweaking it and playing with it and messing around with it. And we had finished the music probably almost 2 years ago. Was it that?
Nah, it wasn't.
Year and a half ago?
It was probably a year and
a half ago. And then it took us a good 6 months to finish all the backup vocals, because we had to write them all, figure out where to put them, and then just to get our voices correct. I have a high voice for a guy. My scream was terrible when I first started. It was awful. So we were sitting there doing takes in my basement, and I'm sounding like a angry 13-year-old girl, and he's like, yeah, that's just not working. And I'm like, well, how am I going to do this? And I'm trying all this other stuff, and finally we'd get it working once, and then I couldn't duplicate it, and it just, so. But it definitely was a process getting there. But I think we just started writing some new material, and it's actually moving along much
very
quicker
quickly
than it used to be. So I think we've finally found what we want to do, and I think it's going to be a lot easier going forward.
Yeah.
All right, let me change gears for a second. How important is the underground metal scene to you guys? What's it mean to you guys?
In this era, I think it means a lot, because it means that everyone gets to play shows, and everyone gets to show everyone else their music. And I think that I really, obviously we're doing this interview outside of Balls Bluff, and I think Toby's doing a great thing right now, and I think Nick out at So Addictive is doing an awesome thing. And it's hard. This area it's real hard to get people to come out to shows a lot of the time. Everyone works all the time. It's hard to find venues, and the property value around here is so high that a lot of owners don't like letting their space lend itself to metal. We'll go out of state, and some of these places are so easy to book. People are so open to having music everywhere, and around here it just seems it's tougher to get shows. So I really respect what Toby and Nick and guys like that are doing to get these shows in here. But I think it's really important, because the more that we can play, the more people can hear us, and the more people can dig it. Because without fans, there's no one cares. You know what I mean? If no one shows up, then we're having practice in a building. You know what I mean? So.
That's one of the reasons why I like this place so much.
Absolutely.
It's like old school.
Right.
It's like being down in your parents' basement. Everybody gets
Absolutely.
down, gets hot, gets sweaty, gets
Absolutely.
into it.
And it's much more when I think we really, obviously we're so loud that smaller venues are more fun for us, because it's even louder than it should be. So, and it's more intimate, I guess, when you're and I really like playing on the floor. I'm not a huge fan of stages. You just don't feel like you're with the crowd. It's really cool when people are right up next to you, and you can just get real into it, and you can see people getting into it as well. And it's just, I don't know, it's when we get much more into it when other people are into it. We obviously feed off of the crowd, obviously. We're not doing mosh calls or anything like that, but you can tell when people are enjoying the music, and it makes us enjoy playing, and I think we play better when people are into it. So
Do you you think a lot of the bands that are like, let's say the bands that are signed, the bands that have record deals, do you think they appreciate what you got, like the whole underground scene, or do you think they've become jaded? Because I know a lot of bands kind of like, when I've done interviews, they appreciate the bands and they know what they go through, but then there's a lot of bands that kind of forget, where they came from. So
the bands that we've run into seem to really, love seeing, the local acts that end up opening up for them, and they're always really cool. And
right, I think it also depends on how big the band is.
Absolutely.
I think I know what you mean. Like, I'm sure there's some bands that get so big that you're right, that they get jaded, and I'm sure that happens. I've never run into a band that's like that, but even when I was in Psyopus, like doing tours with those guys, we play with some bigger bands, and I never got that vibe from anybody. But I know that all the smaller bands that we've played with, even before we did this band, even with Mod, we opened up for some bigger bands, and they'd always have a blast at Jack's or wherever it was, or we used to play some places out in Manassas that have shut down long ago. But those bands always seem to really get into playing to more intimate crowds, smaller places, and like you said earlier, like when you feel like you're in a basement at a house show, you get that intimate vibe, and I think there's still bands that really feed off that kind of stuff.
Sorry, so last question, man. What is up with Theosedaxhg for this summer? What do you guys got planned?
So we've got a 10-day tour that we're doing from July 22nd to July 31st, which is going to be like his 78th birthday, so we're going to take that day off.
That's before the tour, actually.
No, it's not.
I'll be 83 by the time.
That's right. I'm sorry. So yeah, we're doing 10 days in the summer. We're going to go south this time. We've got some shows coming up in the next couple months. We're going to be trying to go up north with our friends in Hollandlarm from Philly. I think we're going to be doing Jersey. We're doing Rochester, New York. We might be doing another Jersey show. And then the southern part of the tour, we're doing North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta. I'm trying to get us some other shows. It's not all set in stone because it's pretty far in advance. But we're going to mostly stick to the South, and then probably try to do some more northern stuff. I'd like to do a northern tour at some point, but we just haven't gotten that far. But yeah, it's tough for us to do full-blown tours since we all work, so it's hard for us to get the time off of work, and obviously we're the weekend warrior guys. I don't think we're ever going to be doing 40-day tours anywhere. That would be awesome. I would love to do it, but yeah, I definitely want to keep writing, and at some point, I don't know if we're going to do another album or an EP. It all depends on the response. We just sent our stuff out to some labels, so we'll see what they have to say, if they have anything to say at all, or if they use our CDs as coasters.
That's what I want to ask you. How is it important to you guys to be on a label, or do you want to I mean, there's a lot of bands now, it goes either ways. A lot of bands just like self-producing and keeping it to themselves, and then there's still some people that's the prize for them. What do you guys think?
I don't think we have a preference either way. I mean, being the owner of a studio, I mean, we do have that advantage that,
right,
it doesn't cost us a dime to record our own stuff.
So we're lucky in that aspect.
So it's very lucky in that aspect. Now, obviously, smaller labels, I mean, you're not going to get a lot out of them. I mean, you might get some distribution and some promotion and maybe get on some better shows with some national acts and stuff like that.
At least in my opinion, I think that's what I'd like out of a smaller label, just to be able to get on some better shows, or maybe to do some weekend dates with some bigger bands.
Tours.
Right. I mean, like I said, we're never going to be able to do the full-time, full-blown tour thing. As much as we'd all love doing that, it's just not in the cards for us at the moment. But smaller labels, I think, do have a lot to offer in terms of, if we ever want to do a vinyl release, which we should have done with this, but we just didn't do, just getting our music out there. I just want people to enjoy what we're doing, whether it's we play to 10 people here or to 1 million people downstairs. I just want people to dig what we're doing, and if we can make people dig what we're doing, if a label can help us do that, awesome. If they can't, then that's
I mean, that's the ultimate satisfaction. Is we do this not for anything other than the fact that we enjoy doing it.
Right.
And if people come up to us after a show or something like that, or they hear our CD or something like that, and they say, "Man, we really like your stuff," or whatever.
Right.
That's reason enough to do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, any last words?
I have no last words. I wish I did. I'm a talkative guy, but I wish. I don't know what our next local show is, but whoever watches it should come out and see our next local show, because I think I'm adding another cab and another amp to my setup. So hopefully we get the cops called on us again, because that's usually the most fun. We've actually played venues, like legit venues, where like the cops have been called, not like a house show. So That's what I'd like to say. I'd like to be doing more house shows in the future. I just worry about like destroying the structural frame of people's houses.
Shattering the glass.
It just sucks, man, because a lot of these bands, they always ask us to do house shows, and I just worry about being able to fit all our stuff in there, and so. But yeah, so.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.